Hey folks, today we'll understand useState hook in React. So what is useState hook? useState hook is used to keep track of state in React. And what is a state? The state may be some data or some property that needs to be tracked. Okay, so you'll understand it better when I'll give you a few examples. So let's get to the example. Okay, because like that's the best way to understand, no? And one more thing, we can use React hooks only in case of functional components and we cannot use them in class components. Let me reiterate, we can use React hooks only in functional components and not in class components. Okay, so yeah, so let's get to our example. So let me tell you what I'm trying to make here. I'll make a simple counter. We'll have a minus button and we'll have a plus button, and in between these two buttons we'll have a number. Okay, and when the user clicks on minus, the number will gets decreased by 1, and when the user clicks on plus, the number will be increased by 1. Okay, so that is what we'll make. So let's do it. Let's first make two buttons. Let's make two buttons. So the first button will be minus button, no? And let's just copy paste it once more, and inside that now we'll give it plus, and the second button will be plus button, and in between these two buttons we'll have something, no? We'll have something. I'll call this something in h3, so it will be more clearly visible to you guys, no? Okay, so yeah, in between these two buttons we'll have a number. So instead of h3, I'll call it a span because this is a block element. So our buttons are coming in the next line, no? I want all these three, minus button, number and plus button, in a single line. So I'll have to use a inline element. So yeah, now they are in the same line. Now let's say if I have 1 here, you can see 1 is being printed here. If I have 10 here, you can see 10 is being printed on the screen, no? So let me just, okay, so yeah, here it is. But now we want this to be variable. So what I told you, what is a state? State is something, a property or some data that needs to be tracked. So now this needs to be tracked, no? Because at this moment in time, this is constant, 10 is constant, but what we want is, we want this to be changing, no? We want this to be changing, because when I click on minus, the number should be decreased by 1, and when I click on plus, the number should be increased by 1. So this is a state because it needs to change. It needs to change, and hence we need to keep track of it, no? Because only when I know the previous state is 10, I can update it to 11 in the next iteration, and only when I know that the previous iteration, and only when I know that the previous state was 11, I can increment it to 12 in the next iteration, or maybe decrement it to 10 in the next iteration. But for that to happen, I need to keep track of the previous state. Okay, so I think that is clear why we need to keep track of states, and when we need to do that, we use useState, no, to keep track of state. So in order to use useState, first we need to import it from, so we'll use the curly braces, and then we'll type useState from where? From React. Okay, from React. Okay, so yeah, now let me type something, then I'll explain it to you what I just did, no? So I could name it anything, no? I could say state set state is equals to useState and 0. Now I'll tell you what it is, what I just wrote here in this line. This is like the most important line that you need to understand in order to get hang of useState, no? So yeah, state is, I just told you, state is something that this is a state variable, so its value will be 9, and when I click on plus button, this value will be incremented to 10. When I click on 11, the state's value will be 12. When I again click on plus, the state's value will be 13, and so on. So this is the state variable, okay, in which the state will be stored. And this set state, what this set state is, this is a function that we use to update the state. Let me reiterate, state is a state variable here, okay, in which the variable that is changing is being stored, and set state is a function that is used to change the state variable. Let me reiterate, set state is a function that is used to change the state variable, okay. So let me proceed and you will understand it more clearly. I could name it anything instead of state, just to be more relevant to our example. I'll name it counter, and here I'll say set counter. I could name it like XYZ or anything you want, but like to be more relevant and like more intuitive what it is doing, we are naming it this way. So this is counter, this is set counter. This set counter is a function. This is a function that will use to update this state, okay, and state is stored in this counter, okay. And what is the 0? 0 is the initial state, because we need to have some initial state. No, we need to have some initial state, understood? Because what will be stored initially in this counter if there is no initial state? If initial state is 0 and then the user clicks on plus, the state will be increased to 1. If user clicks on plus one more time, the state will be increased to 2, okay. And if the user clicks on plus one more time, the state will be increased to 3. But for that to happen, we have to have some value of initial state, and in this case initial state is 0. We could have any number in initial state, but here I use 0, okay. Now let's see, if I use this state here, you can see the initial state being printed in the view. See, the initial state is being printed in the view, no, okay. But now we cannot click on plus and expect this number to increase, because we have not done anything for that to happen, no. But before moving on to that, let me just console log this useState so that you will understand it more clearly. Because when we study useState for the very first time, it's somewhat tricky to get it, no. But once you get it, you will use it very in the flow. You will use it in your programs. But for the when you are using it for the very first time, it's somewhat tricky to get what is happening, no. So let me just console log it, and you can see in the console what is happening. See what we are getting here. Let me just remove all this and once more refresh it. So okay, so what we are getting here, initial state, that is 0, and this function, you can see f, this is a function. What this function does is, this function is used to update the state. Let me reiterate, this function is used to update the state, okay. So this is what it is, and doesn't matter what you name here, but the first, in this array we are destructuring here, no. So in this array, the first parameter will always be the state, and the second parameter will always be a function which is used to update that state, okay. So yeah, now let's proceed and make our code. So what we are trying to do, when the user will click on minus, the number should decrease by 1, and when the user will click on plus, the number should increase by 1. So that is what we are trying to achieve. So let's have an on click here, and here, although I could update the state here only, but for you to understand better, let me take a function. Remove this and let me take a function, okay. So I'll say decrement, okay. This function's name is decrement, and it says decrement is not defined, so no problem, we'll define it. So I'll say function decrement, and here what I'll do is, I'll say set counter, and here I'll say counter plus 1, okay, sorry, counter minus 1. Now what will happen is, when I click on this minus button, this decrement function will be called. So in this decrement function we are changing the value of this counter by using this set counter. By using the state function we are changing the value of state variable, no. So how we do it? How we do that? We pass the changed value in this in braces. Whatever the state function is, we pass the new value or the changed value of the state variable inside that function, inside those braces of the function, no. So let's say if I want this set counter to be set to 5. So now what will happen? When I click on minus, the new state is changed to 5 because I assigned it the value 5 here. So see, let's see it changed to 5, no, automatically changed to 5. Now when I do counter minus 1, then what will happen? In the previous render, whatever the state is, state will be the state variable's value will be decreased by 1. Let me reiterate, in the previous render, whatever the state variable is, in this iteration the state variable's value will be decreased by 1. Okay, and this is done by set counter, no. So let me show you. See, the value is decreasing by 1. See, the value is decreasing by 1. The plus is not yet working. So yeah, now let's write the increment also. It's easy, no. Let's write the increment also, and we'll say function increment, and here what we'll do, we'll say set counter, because this is a state function, and whatever we want the state variable to be updated to, we'll pass that value here. We'll say counter plus 1. Now you can see if I click on plus, the counter, nope, it's not working. Why? I had increment here, so I am setting the set counter to plus 1, no. Okay, oh, sorry, by mistake I set it on this span. Instead I have to set it on this plus button. This on click handler should be on this plus button. So now you can see if I click on this plus button, the number is increasing by 1. If I click on this minus button, the number is decreasing by 1. Okay, now let's say I told you to increase this value by 5 and decrease this value by 2. Okay, so let's increase this value by 5 every time and decrease this value by 2. Let's see what happens. Now if I increase the value, see the value is increasing by 5, and when I decrease the value, it is decreasing by 2. Okay, so yeah, I could do that now. So now there is one doubt that you guys might have. You guys might think that Rajat, why we need this? No, we could just say when the user clicks on the minus button, just increase the counter by 1. We can do something like this, no. We can say counter plus 1. So why we are not able to do it, no? And we only want to display counter here. So when the user clicks on decrement button, just increase the counter by 1. Decrease the counter by 1 like this only. Why we need this set counter? But no, I know that initially when you use the useState for the very first time, this is the doubt that many folks have, but no, this won't work like this way because we need to update this value. So we have to use state, and whatever the new value of state is, we have to pass it inside the state function. Only then it will work, no. Now let me tell you one more thing. I think this till now you guys are clear, but you're still not clear. Just bear with me and you will understand it very, very clearly, no. So okay, so here, okay, so this is also not the right way. What do I mean when I say that this is not the right way? Let's say I'm changing the value of this counter, which is state variable, 2 times. So what should happen here? What do you think should happen here? No, when I click on this minus button, ignore this plus button. When I click on this minus button, what should happen? So like logically you may think the value of the state is decreased by 1 in line number 8 and the value of state is again decreased by 1 in line number 9. So in total the value of state should be decreased by 2. So if I click on this minus, like 14 should come, and then when I click on this minus again 12 should come, and so on. So this is, you might think that this will happen. Let's see what will happen. Nope, it's not happening. The value is being decreased by 1 only. Why is it so? Why is it not decreasing by 2? Let me tell you something. When we change state like this, no, when we change state like this, what happens is, listen carefully, what happens is, this will see like what was the value of counter, what was the value of state, which is the counter here. So what was the value of counter in the previous render? React will see what was the value of counter in the previous render. So in the previous render, now in this scenario, in the previous render the value is 14. Okay, so value is 14, so it will see, okay, so now I have to just decrement the value by 1. Okay, and when I come on line number 9, this React will again see, okay, so what was the value of count in the previous render? It will again see, okay, it is 14. So now change the value by decrement the value by 1. So it will again change it to 13. So yeah, so like this will override this, no, although both are changing the value of counter to 13, but this will override this because both are taking into account the value in case of the previous render. Okay, so in order to avoid this scenario, what we do is, instead of writing it like this, we should write like this. Always write states like this, so that you could have multiple states and all states will work in tandem. So we could like say XYZ here, but for the sake of understanding, I'll say previous. So previous depicts the previous value. So and what you should do is, it will say, okay React, whatever the previous value is, do previous minus 1. Now this and if I write it like twice, no, the value will decrement by 2. You can see the value will decrement by 2. See, now the value is being decremented by 2. Now what is happening? Now this will see, okay, so what was the value in the previous render? So it will say, okay, the React will see, okay, the value was 4 in the previous render. Now here what will happen is, it will see what is the value previously, what is the value of state previously, not in the previous render. Understand it very carefully. Not in the previous render, but what was the value of state previously, like in the same program, what was the value of the state previously. Here it will see, okay, so the previous value is being updated here in line number 11 only, no. So the previous value was 2, so it will say the previous value is 3. So it will say, okay, so I have to do 3 minus 1 and assign the value 2 to the new state. Okay, so I hope you understand this. If you don't, do not worry, just remove all this, remove this, and always use this, always use what should I say, like this syntax, no. So here also use this syntax, and know that in case of this previous prev, I could have used any name, or like I could say like XYZ, and then here I could say XYZ minus 1, then also it will work. Okay, so let me remove this. So yeah, this is how we did it. Now, so you understand, no, every time we are changing the state by using the set state function, which is the like set counter here, no. And in place of this use state, no, the initial state we could have like an array, an object, an empty string, or anything we want, a boolean, like anything we want. So okay, let us do one more thing. No, now what I want to do is, I want to also change the theme. What do I mean by that is, when the user will click on the minus button, the theme should turn to light theme. That is what we are seeing on the screen right now, and when the user clicks on the plus button, the theme will change to dark theme. Okay, by dark theme what I mean is the background will be black and the text will be white. Okay, so that should happen. So we'll do it using state only. Let me reiterate what we are trying to do now. When the user clicks on the minus button, the theme should turn to light theme. If it is already light, nothing should happen. And when the user will click on the plus button, the theme should turn to dark. And if it is already dark, then like nothing should happen, no? So let's implement this. So for that to happen, we'll use another state. Know this, that we could have any number of states we want in React, but if you have like, it's not a like hard written rule, but if you have like more than 3 or 4 states, it is better to use useReducer. And what is useReducer we'll understand in the upcoming lectures or videos or whatever. So yeah, let's change the theme here. Again, I am using a name that is more relevant to what I am doing now. So always like do this, no, so that other developers can also understand what this theme and set theme are doing. Now initially I'll say, okay, initially make the theme light, but it doesn't know what is light and what is dark, no. Okay, so I use counter here. I should have used useState. Okay, but it doesn't know what is this light and what is dark, so I have to define it, what is light and dark. So let's have variables const light, and here I'll have an object. Why an object? You'll understand why an object. I'll say light, and because I need to have two properties here, no, two keys here. One is the background color and another is the color, background color and color, no. So let's see, in case of light theme, what should be the background color? And if you do not understand what I am doing, just keep watching, you'll get it. So background color in case of light will be obviously, no, white will be the background color if we have the light theme, and color should be black. Color is the font color, no, CSS, you guys know CSS, no. And I'm also taking this const if I have dark theme. In case of dark theme, what should I have? In case of dark theme, let me just copy paste this. So in case of dark theme, make the background color black, and make the font color white. Okay, do this, no. So now if I say useState light, it will understand. Okay, so light I'm referring here. So what I told you, we can have anything as our initial state. Here understand that we are having this object as our initial state. This object is stored in our initial state, no. Okay, now what I want is, when the user clicks on here, the theme should change to, when the user is decrementing, the theme should change to light. Okay, so I will say set theme, because this is a state function and we use a state function to change the value of state variable. And what is state variable here? State variable is this light. It may be light or it may be dark, but when the user clicks on this decrement, this minus button, the theme should change to light. Okay, so I could say light here, simply I could say light here, and here when the user clicks on the plus button, the theme should change to, you understand, no, what I am actually doing here? I am simply doing theme equals to dark here, but I cannot do that because this is a state that we need to keep track of. So I'll do set theme, because what I just showed you won't work. This will work. So we'll say set theme, and I'll change the theme to dark. Simple. When the user is click on this increment button, the theme should be changed to dark. Okay, so this is done, but it won't work. Why it won't work? Because we have to apply the styling, no. So let's style this app thing, this app. Okay, so I'll say style, and here so this is how we give style in React. And here I'll say check the value of theme. I'll use the conditional operator. Check the value of theme, check the value of theme, check the value of theme. No, I won't do it. I'll simply say theme here. No need to use conditional operator, no, because when the user will click on the minus, this theme, what is this theme? The light theme should apply, and when the user will click on the plus, this dark theme will apply. That's it. We already did this in this function, no, we already set it the theme in this function, so I have to apply this theme only. It will detect what this theme means, no. So initially the value, you understand, no, initially, let me just do this. Initially the value of theme is this. Initially the value of theme is light. Initially the value of theme is light. When the user will click on the increment button, the theme will change to dark. And what is dark? This is dark. Okay, let me reiterate. Initially the value of theme is light. You can see it here. Value of theme is light. And when the user is click on the increment button, the plus button, the theme will turn to dark. And this is dark. Okay, and this styling will apply here on the class this app component automatically. So let's see if it's working or not. See, when I am clicking on the plus button, the theme is changing. The text has turned white and the background has turned black. See, but when I clicking on the minus button, nothing is happening. So you can see it here working fine, but I can apply this theme on this whole app component also. So I have, like, let's do it very quickly. I won't take much time of yours, but it will look good. Okay, so I have this app, no, class name app. So I'll simply say height. I'll simply say height 100 VH. Now it should work. See, it's working now. Okay, so yeah, now you can see it's working. The theme is changing for the whole app component. You can apply a theme like this in your applications also. So yeah, I hope you guys understand useState. So again, let me reiterate what I told you at the start of this video. useState helps us to keep track of state. And what is a state? State may be some data or some property that needs to be keep tracked of, because it is changing. Okay, so that is what useState is used for. And yeah, that's all for today. I'll come with the use effect hook in my next video, so be tuned in. And if you like this video and extracted any value from this video, I'll appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel now. So yeah, that's all from my side, and we'll meet next time.